Campfire Classics is a classic literature podcast. However, your hosts will occasionally use not-so-classy language and immature humor to describe very mature situations. As such, listener discretion is advised.
Hi, I'm Ken Sandberg.
And I'm Heather Michelle Lawler.
Welcome back to Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
We're back together.
We're back in the saddle again.
Woo-hoo.
Back where a friend is a friend.
You're my friend.
I don't remember how the rest of that song goes.
I don't know that song. I mean, I've heard it. I just definitely don't know that song.
Old cowboy tune that felt appropriate.
Yeehaw!
Given. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, Heather.
What's up? Sorry, I'm taking a giant drink of my giant drink because I am not back as in on land, but Ken happens to be visiting me. So you may have noticed we missed our very first episode ever. Since we launched.
August of 2020.
Last week, but that was for a very good reason, and that's because Ken was traveling to join me on the cruise.
Yeah, so we're actually recording this episode in my stateroom on the Norwegian Joy.
On the 14th floor.
Cruise ship.
We're staring at the ocean. It's very, very wavy today. If you hear some weird noises, it's because the boat is a-rockin'.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been not the smoothest. I mean, it's actually been largely very smooth, which has been nice until last night when. Whoo.
Well, I think we hit. So we've been in the Caribbean. So just catching everyone up on me. Hi.
Yeah, I tried to give updates for a while, and then I just realized, you know what? Heather will be able to give everyone a big update.
I'm gonna be able to do my
back.
own podcast called "How Heather Survived the Norwegian Joy 2021-2022 contract."
Oh yeah.
But to keep things simple, it's been a roller coaster. There have been shutdowns, isolations, COVID cases. There's been happiness and beaches and beverages. I mean, it's been all over the place. But we're finishing our final cruise after 5 months of doing the Caribbean or Caribbean, depending on your choices.
That it depends on if you're a pirate or just
really
just a run-of-the-mill drunk.
Or if you just like rum. If you're a pirate who likes rum,
then it's the Caribbean.
If you're just someone who likes rum, it's the Caribbean.
Yeah. So are you Johnny Depp or Jimmy Buffett?
There you go. I would love to watch those two do something together.
Anything together.
Actually, they both sing. That would be an interesting compilation. But yeah, so next week.
I want to see them sword fight.
Johnny Depp actually brought.
Johnny
he's
Depp's pretty good.
Quite good. I mean, he's good at stage combat. I don't know if he can actually just spar, but like after filming all those movies, I'm sure he can do a decent job.
At least he knows which end to hold.
The pointy end goes in the other person kind of situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Good
we're finishing
5
months of the Caribbean, and Ken's on the last one. So we just left Cozumel, Mexico yesterday, and we're on our way back to Miami. And then we are relocating, and I'll be sailing out of Start Spreading the News. I'm coming back this week to New York.
NYC.
Yes, and Ken we just literally an hour ago finished my Broadway cabaret, which he got to see twice on the thing where I sing lots of musical theater.
Lots of 80s show tunes.
Yeah, I get a little Don't Cry For Me Argentina, a little Suddenly Seymour, a little NYC from Annie. It's 8, giving a shout out to the 8 people in that cast, whether they'll listen to this or not. They've just been a pleasure, and Eric and Angie, who helped set it. We created this show from nothing. Like literally when we got to Tampa, it did not exist. And we just kind of put it together with these amazingly talented, very versatile musicians and performers. And I'm super proud of it. Like Footloose is fun, and like that's the big show I'm here to do. But I do way more in Broadway cabaret, and it's like kind of our baby. Like it's ours, and people love it. Like today, there were so many kids, like from like I would say like from about like 8 until like up through high school that were just obsessed with it. They were just like leaning in and smiling, and it gives me hope for humanity.
While I was waiting in line to get into the show this afternoon, I was in the front of the line with Lewis. It was the two of us sitting there.
Shout out to Lewis, by the way. If Lewis, you should listen to this.
Lewis,
he's like our super fan. He also is like a Latitudes like gold, bronze, I don't know what the highest you can be. So his retirement is he cruises. So,
so he and I were sitting waiting for the doors to open to get in, and behind us walks this family with two little girls, little girls, and
I know
like
what you're talking about.
8 maybe, something like that, and they were asking what the show is, and we sort of did a rough explanation of it, and he said something like, you actually probably don't know any of these songs because they would have all been on Broadway and then off Broadway before you were even born. And she said, yes, but I really like music from the 80s and 90s. I don't think anything being written today is any good. And there's no point in listening to any music that's written since 2015 because it's just terrible.
Oh my God. This girl is amazing. Oh my God. First of all, parents doing a good job. Clearly they are raising her on some kick-ass music. And also, what a amazingly opinionated, awesome woman. little young lady.
Also, bold statement to say nothing worthwhile has been written since 2015.
Because I would absolutely disagree with that. But I think I know the family you were talking to because they definitely were there, and the little girls were loving it. So I'm here, and so we were hoping we'd find a time to do a recording because I shout out to Emily for being our fucking VIP. I mean, straight up VIP, stand-in. We're gonna have to take her out for a nice dinner, but she's off to Creed.
Yeah. She's got a big summer ahead of her.
Because I've worked there and I love Creed, so I'm super jealous of the time she's gonna get to spend with all the people up there and in that beautiful environment. So yeah, go get it, Emily, and thank you for being our official third host.
Well, she fell into step very quickly, and it became clear she's got a background in English and lit and all of that, and it made sense.
Well, it also is fun. My mom. This is funny. My mom, the first couple of times she hosted with you, she's like, you guys have very similar voices, actually. And even your laughs occasionally sound the same. And my mother, who knows me, arguably better than anyone else in the world, was like, I was getting a little confused in my brain. It was is that? No, I can't be Heather. I know that's not Heather. She had introduced herself as Emily, but sometimes she's it kind of sounds like you.
You just forget if you're not listening too close.
So she's a great little step in. One day we'll pretend to be each other and see if anyone can tell. If anyone writes in and goes,
We'll have the two of you host together, and just no one will ever know who's talking. That happened a little bit the episode that Craig came in and
because you guys have such similar speech patterns,
fairly similar voices.
Yeah, absolutely,
brothers and whatnot.
But yeah, I'm excited to. This is his last night on the cruise, so we're gonna record this, and then we're gonna go out and do a nice wine tasting and have a really fancy dinner at the Italian place on board. So we're going to eat some Italian food on a boat. And but first, we're going to record this episode. And Ken came prepared.
Oh, I sure did.
I literally said, I would love to, but I'm I don't have internet. That's been the whole issue of why we haven't been recording is my internet's just not strong enough to do anything, unless we're in port. So, but he came prepared with all the fun facts and has already downloaded the story, so we are ready to go.
I came to play.
Yeah, we've definitely played. We've been to 4 different ports.
Oh yeah.
We saw monkeys on Mayan ruins.
They were climbing all over that damn thing.
It was so cool. It was very Indiana Jones. We had a beautiful beach day in Belize where we just chilled on the beach, and Cozumel, we had a couple of really amazing Mexican meals. We had some amazing tacos, some amazing breakfast. And in Roatan, we held sloths.
Yeah.
And
wow. Yeah.
I went snorkeling on this beautiful reef right off the beach and on the West Bay. And so, we've played.
It's been a trip.
We have played. I've done 4 shows, or 5 shows, because we had 3 Footloose. And now it's time to record an episode.
Now it's time to record a podcast because, dear listener, in case this is your first episode, and if we're doing our job right, every episode is somebody's first episode.
And it's my first episode in a really long time, so remind me.
This is not a Let's Check In with Heather podcast, as much as we would all love it to be. This is, in fact, a literature podcast where every week one of your hosts cold reads a short story that they have never seen before. We pull our stories out of the public domain because that's that's a really way to avoid getting sued by authors.
We don't have enough money to get sued.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible business model.
But please send us money if you want to.
Yeah, if you want to, you can find us on all of the social media and on Patreon, and we'll tell you how you can give us money.
Just send us money.
Or I'll send you an address where you can just send a wad of cash. That's cool, too. So this week I have chosen a story that Heather is going to read sight unseen. She is going to be improvising voices and dialects and whatever else the story may throw at her. I don't know much better than she does what it's going to be. And we'll probably laugh at some accidental penis jokes along the way.
I'm sure we will. And it's also been we did a few in Tampa, so it's been about 5 months.
It's been a while,
I did this, so it's going to be fun.
So it's going to be fun to get back in the saddle. But first, I'm going to read just a few little fun facts this week about the author to give y'all a little bit of context about what you will be hearing.
Yeehaw.
Richard Le Gallienne was a British author
Do I have to
and
do a
poet.
French dialect?
He's English. He's British. He just adopted a French name.
It's like rude.
He was born Richard Thomas Gallienne in Liverpool.
Okay.
His family was middle class. In 1883, his father took him to a lecture by Oscar Wilde.
Okay.
He soon quit his job and became a professional writer with ambitions of becoming a great poet.
See, that's the danger of taking kids to see good art, because then they're like, I want to be an artist.
Don't-
Like half those kids today.
Don't take your children to see theater unless you are ready for them to become actors.
Oh, no.
Oh, Lord.
They're going to find it anyway.
So Le Gallienne's book, My Lady's Sonnets, appeared in 1887. He wrote professionally from there on out, but his career as a writer is not really the most interesting thing about his biography, so I'm not
Okay.
going to talk about his writing much.
Boring, because we're going to get to read that anyway.
In the summer of 1888, he actually got to meet Wilde, his idol and inspiration,
Okay.
and the two had an affair.
I was going to say, they're going to do it. They're going to do it.
Le Gallienne and Wilde continued an intimate correspondence well after the physical affair ended. This was especially scandalous because Le Gallienne got married to a woman named Mildred Lee 2 years before he met Oscar Wilde.
Yeah, sometimes you're just going to have a little boom boom on the side, especially if you like the penis and you got a
married a vagina.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do?
So this is sort of a sign of trouble to come.
Okay.
So Mildred died.
Of course, some context. This is when homosexuality was quite literally illegal.
Oh, yeah, it was a crime.
So.
Crime.
Yeah.
So Mildred died giving birth to their second daughter, Maria, leaving behind Richard and their first daughter, Hesper Joyce. After Mildred's death, he carried with him at all times an urn containing Mildred's ashes.
Ew. I mean, cute, but ew. At the same time.
Yeah. Rupert Brooke, who is a poet, another poet and author, wrote a short poem called For Mildred's Urn, satirizing and making fun of his habit of carrying around his wife's ashes, which I get, but that also seems kind of douchey.
It's also kind of a dick move, man. Like, I know now they do.
The dude's grieving. Come on.
I know now, like, people will, like, that have loved ones cremated, they can actually have the, like, ashes turned into, like, diamonds or, like, some sort of, like...
Or put into a necklace,
So it's a way to carry them with you in not a way that you're carrying around a giant vase.
Yeah, I assume that this was not like the mantelpiece size urn that he was carrying with him at all times. I assume it was like the size of a Starbucks coffee cup.
Some guy wrote a poem satirizing how ridiculous he was. So
yeah, maybe.
I'm just imagining one of those giant ones. It's like gold plated, and he's just carrying it around like a little baby.
He's got it on a chain around his neck, and it just swings.
Oh no. So it's like Angelina Jolie and her brother with their vials of blood between them.
Was that her brother, or was that her and
That was her brother. No,
Billy Bob Thornton?
That was Billy Bob Thornton. She made out with her brother. It was.
Oh, that's right. What was the scandal between Angelina Jolie and her brother?
I don't remember.
I know there was a thing.
I don't know, but I know that. Yeah, whatever. Anyway.
Anyway, he continued to carry this urn with his dead ex-wife while married to his second wife, Danish journalist Julie Norregard.
Awkward.
She became stepmother to his daughter, Hesper, and they had another daughter, Eva, who became a famous actress, performed on Broadway regularly, including a play about Emily Dickinson called Allison's House, which won a Pulitzer.
Oh, damn.
Yep. She was also nominated for a She was also nominated for a Best Supporting Actress Oscar in 1980 for the movie Resurrection.
Wait, what's her name?
Eva Le Gallienne.
Oh, shit. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Cool.
In 1903, Norregard left Richard. His second wife left him, taking both of his daughters to live in Paris.
What year was this?
1903.
1903, okay.
Yep. Norregard later sent Hesper to live with her paternal grandparents in an affluent part of London, and Eva remained with her mother.
Okay.
Julie later cited his inability to provide a stable home or pay his debts, alcoholism, and womanizing as grounds for divorce.
Ironically, womanizing. Even
Given, he was probably playing all sides of the field.
Well, it sounds like he was very much a bisexual or like pansexual or whatever,
Just looking for whatever he could get.
He just enjoyed the lovin'.
Yeah. Their daughter, Ava, would grow up to take on some of her father's more negative traits, including womanizing. She was never secretive about being a lesbian, and she broke up at least one marriage because of it.
Get it, Ava! And she's nominated for an Academy Award. I love that.
And apparently she was a very heavy drinker, just like her father.
All right.
Like
Oscar Wilde.
Like Oscar Wilde. Le Gallienne moved to America, and 4 months after his divorce to Norregard was finalized, he married Mrs. Irma Perry, whose previous marriage to her first cousin had been dissolved in 1904. Le Gallienne and Irma had known each other for years, and Irma's daughter, Gwendolen, called herself Gwen Le Gallienne. If she was actually his daughter, this is another major scandal because she was born in 1898, just 1 year into his previous marriage.
Okay, I thought you were going to say then they started dating or something.
No.
Like, ew. Okay.
No, if she's actually, so she took on his name and treated him like father. If he's actually her father, which is possible, she was born a year into his marriage to his previous wife.
I'm going to guess that was her daddy.
So the family moved to France, but their town was occupied by the Germans during World War II, and they were forced to leave. During this time, Le Gallienne struggled financially, so much so that he was seen collapsing in the street from hunger because he refused to write propaganda for the local Italian and German occupiers.
Damn right.
Yep. Asked how to say his name, he told the Literary Digest the stress was on the last syllable, Le Gallienne. As a rule, I hear it pronounced as if it were spelled Gallienne, which of course is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Le Gallienne.
He died in 1947 at 81 years old.
Okay.
And this week, you will be reading a ghost story he wrote and had published in Harper's Magazine in 1912 called The Haunted Orchard.
Ooh, yeah, I love ghost stories.
Let's start this fire.
Let's start it. Code Bravo. That was a very inside cruise
dumb.
joke. Sorry. The Haunted Orchard by Richard Le Gallienne.
Mm-hmm.
Spring was once more in the world. As she sang to herself in the faraway woodlands, her voice reached even the ears of the city, weary with the long winter. That's accurate.
Yep.
So, I've been living in the Caribbean, but I know for a fact it snowed in the Midwest, yesterday.
I'm in my head. It talked about the weather singing, and I'm here. I'm in my head. I'm singing. And there's a little bull with a tutu dancing in the flowers.
A bowl?
Bull.
Oh, a bull. As in
Like
bull?
a bull. Like a male cow. Like a bull.
Why
in
does he have a tutu on?
Dancing in the flower. Don't judge the associations my brain makes.
Bull, all right. That's not the animal I would have gone to with a tutu, but I'm into it.
Bull named Fernando.
Oh, okay, well there you go. Okay.
I think that's actually a cartoon.
Or something, yeah.
Him wearing a tutu and dancing in a field of flowers.
I'm sure.
I don't know. Ignore me.
It
I'll cut all this
happens.
out.
Whatever. Long winter. Daffodils flowered at the entrances to the subway. Furniture-removing vans blocked the side streets. Children clustered like blossoms on the doorsteps. The open cars were running, and the cry of the cash clo man was once more heard in the land.
Cash clo?
Who's the cash clo? It's just cash, and then a separate word is CLO.
Cash clo. I don't know. Hey, listener, this is going to be a weird episode because ordinarily I would just look that up, but I don't have internet. So, hey, Mom, I know you're listening. You want to tell us what cash clo means?
Maybe we'll get some context. Let's find out. It sounds like they're in New York City, though.
Sounds like.
Very New York City, because the subway and, all that.
New York, and he calls it subway, not the tube, so I assume not London.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the spring, and the city dreamed wistfully of lilacs and the dewy piping of birds in gnarled old apple trees, of dogwood lighting up with sudden silver the thickening woods, of water plants unfolding their glossy scrolls in pools of morning freshness.
Oh, it's so lovely.
It is. On Sunday mornings, the outbound trains were thronged with eager pilgrims, hastening out of the city to behold once more the ancient marvel of the spring. And on Sunday evenings, the railway termini were aflower with banners of blossom from rifled woodland and orchard carried in the hands of the returning pilgrims, whose eyes still shone with the spring magic, in whose ears still sang the fairy music.
Aw,
this is such a beautiful New York.
It's lovely, but all I can picture now is contemporary New York City with a bunch of pilgrims like from the Mayflower in their funny hats with the buckles, just wandering around the city,
smiling,
getting on and off the trains and singing songs to fairies.
And being really creepy. And everyone, like the modern day New Yorkers, are like, the fuck are these people?
Going on? You don't look Amish,
like,
but...
We kind of missed the tourism, but this was not what we were looking for. And as I beheld these signs of the vernal equinox, I knew that I, too, must follow the music, forsake a while the beautiful siren we call the city, and in the green silences meet once more my sweetheart, solitude.
Yeah, sometimes you got to get out.
Yeah. As the train drew out of the Grand Central, I hummed to myself, I've a neater, sweeter maiden in a greener, cleaner land. I just made that song up.
That's a country song.
Apparently.
That is a country song.
I don't even know where that came from, but
I like it.
I've a neater, sweeter maiden in a greener, cleaner land. And so I said goodbye to the city and went forth with beating heart to meet the spring. I had been told of an almost forgotten corner of the south coast of Connecticut. Funny, you just left there.
Just left there.
Where the spring and I could live in an inviolate loneliness.
Yeah, as in could be the inviolate loneliness, loneliness that is not violated.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's like
inviolate, unviolated.
Okay, so just a double meaning of they won't bother you.
Yeah.
They will not violate your hermitage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a fancy way of someone no one's coming around there.
Yeah. A place uninhabited save by birds and blossoms, woods and thick grass, and an occasional silent farmer, and pervaded by the breath and shimmer of the sound. Nor had rumor lied, for when the train set me down at my destination, I stepped out into the most wonderful green hush, a leafy Sabbath silence through which the very train, as it went farther on its way, seemed to steal as noiselessly as possible for fear of breaking the spell. So this is this is kind of like where we went, like in Minnesota, way up in the middle of nowhere, where you just really don't, if you hear something, it's like, what?
Yeah.
After a winter in the town, to be dropped thus suddenly into this intense quiet of the countryside makes an almost ghostly impression upon one. Foreshadowing. As of an enchanted silence, a silence that listens and watches but never speaks, finger on lip. There is a spectral quality about everything upon which the eye falls. The woods, like great green clouds, the wayside flowers, the still farmhouses half lost in orchard bloom, all seem to exist in a dream. Everything is so still. Everything so supernaturally green. Nothing moves or talks except the gentle susurrus?
I don't know.
Sussurrus. I'm guessing I'm guessing it means like the breeze or the wind, because it's going to say the gentle susurrus of the spring wind swaying. So that's what I think it is.
Yeah.
The gentle susurrus of the spring wind swaying the young buds high up in the quiet sky, or a bird now and again, or a little brook singing softly to itself among the crowding rushes. Though, from the houses one notes here and there are evidently human inhabitants on this green silence. None are to be seen. I have often wondered where the country folk hide themselves, as I have walked hour after hour past farm and croft and lonely dooryards and never caught sight of a human face.
That's the point of the hiding, dude.
If you should want to ask the way, a farmer is as shy as a squirrel. And if you knock at a farmhouse door, all is silent as a rabbit warren. As I walked along in the enchanted stillness, I came at length to a quaint old farmhouse, old colonial in its architecture, embowed with white lilacs and surrounded by an orchard of ancient apple trees which cast a rich shade on the deep spring grass. The orchard had the impressiveness of those old religious groves dedicated to the strange worship of sylvan gods, to be found now only in Horace or Catullus, and in the hearts of young poets to whom the beautiful antique Latin is still dear.
Love that.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, I know that the sylvan gods is like the gods
Yeah.
of the woods.
Yeah.
The fairy gods.
The fairies. The old house seemed already the abode of solitude. As I lifted the latch of the white gate and walked across the forgotten grass and up to the veranda already festooned with wisteria and looked into the window, I saw solitude sitting by an old piano on which no composer later than Bach had ever been played. I love that solitude is, every time it said solitude, it's capitalized. Like solitude is a character.
He very much seems to be addressing solitude and peace and like all of these ideas of quiet and alone as beings, as entities.
Yeah. Solitude is always capitalized. I just want to throw that out there.
Which kind of makes sense for someone coming from New York.
Yeah.
Where, like, the big bustling city where the idea of being alone is actually kind of a foreign concept.
It's foreign and it's kind of unnerving. In other words, the house was empty. All right.
Thanks for simplifying, Richard.
There you go. After all the beautiful alliteration and a very poetic way of painting this area.
The house is empty.
In other words, the house is empty. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Dick.
It's empty and quiet. The house was empty, and going round to the back, where old barns and stables leaned together as if falling asleep, I found a broken pane, and so climbed in and walked through. Wait, what? Oh, he just went into a random house?
Went into an
Wait, I thought this was the house he was going to stay in. No, he went through a broken window. Oh, is he on a walk?
He's just on a walk and sees this empty house
and like decides to go for a little.
That window's broken. That's an invitation to trespass.
I'm gonna go in here. Oh, well, see, that's how you get haunted. You just fucking like we're like, this looks fun. Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Or did you forget to do your Airbnb rental and you just decided to find one? I found a broken pane and so climbed in and walked through the echoing rooms. The house was very lonely. Evidently, no one had lived in it for a long time, yet it was all ready for some occupant for whom it seemed to be waiting. That's creepy.
So I moved in.
Quaint old 4-poster bedstands stood in 3 rooms. Dimity curtains? I mean, they're like the blackout curtains I'm guessing.
Some kind of curtain.
Dimity curtains and spotless linen, old oak chests and mahogany presses, and opening drawers in Chippendale sideboards. Brown chicka wow wow, Chippendale time, get it on. I always find it funny that Chippendale is a very, very famous, like, expensive furniture brand, but it's also the name of the, like, 80s strippers in Vegas.
Yeah. Well, the reason the strippers in Vegas are named that is because the original founders of Chippendale's furniture were incredibly attractive men who did all of their work naked.
I don't believe that.
You can Google it.
No, I can't. I don't have internet.
Dear listener, you can Google it. I mean, Google might not know because it's one of those rare historical tidbits
that Ken only knows.
That,
it was like a secret.
You really have to do some digging to find this out. But it's 100% true. Chippendale's furniture is made by incredibly attractive, mostly naked men.
Damn. Well, no wonder it's so expensive.
And if you have a piece, you know it's genuine Chippendales. If you have a piece, you can break it into parts, and inside there are pictures of the naked men who built your furniture. But you really have to break it into tiny little pieces before you can be sure.
And then it's no longer furniture; it's just wood.
Hey, I'm not making a recommendation one way or another. I'm just telling how you can identify.
I think you should just get on the internet and look up porn if you want pictures of naked men. Like, don't break your furniture. That seems unnecessary. But everyone each their own.
This is how you can really make a killing on Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah. Oh, I have not seen this piece of Chippendale in forever. In fact, do you mind if I loosen the backboard?
Yes, but you'll have to loosen the backboard in the traditional way.
Antiques Roadshow after dark. Gross.
There's a market.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
I found this club in my grandma's closet. That's not a club.
Your grandma's a freak. I came upon...
Good for you.
Aww. Must
Good
have
for
seen
you.
that Chippendale sideboard.
Yep.
I came upon beautiful, frail old silver and exquisite china that set me thinking of a beautiful grandmother of mine. Weird they use Ew! One of those little happy accidents that we could not plan if we wanted to.
Love it.
Now I'm thinking about BDSM grandma. Oh no. You can't make this shit up, people.
Grandma with the phallic billy club.
Oh. A beautiful grandmother of mine made out of old lace and laughing wrinkles and mischievous old blue eyes. There was one little room that particularly interests me, a tiny bedroom all white, and at the window the red roses were already in bud. But what caught my eye with particular sympathy was a small bookcase in which there were some 20 or 30 volumes wearing the same forgotten expression, forgotten and yet cared for, which lay like a kind of memorial charm upon everything in the old house. Yes, everything seemed forgotten, and yet everything, curiously, even religiously, remembered. I took out book after book from the shelves. Once or twice, flowers fell from the pages, and I caught sight of a delicate handwriting here and there and frail markings. It was evidently the little intimate library of a young girl. What surprised me most was to find that quite half the books were in French. Oh, no. Oh, no. No.
This is my silent victory dance.
I hate everything. See, I knew. Even though he's not French, it's going to come up because,
Because I'm just that lucky.
Because you're just that good. They were in French. French poets and French romancers. A charming, very rare edition of Ronsard, a beautifully printed edition of Alfred de Maisson, and a copy of Théodophile Gautier's Mademoiselle de Mimpin.
Oh, I'm just having the best day.
It's going to get way worse before it gets better, yeah. Just so you know. How did these exotic books come to be here alone in a deserted New Island farmhouse? This question was to be answered later in a strange way. I hope so.
Well,
That
yeah.
seems like a lot of detail if you're not going to follow up on it, honestly.
These beautiful books. How did they get here? Where were they from? I was so curious.
And then
so
I
laughed.
left the house and I never went back.
Anyway, I came here to talk to you
Moving on.
about Jesus.
Oh, remember when we saw a group of Mormons at the Honduras bar that we were sitting at?
That was a little weird. We went to this little bar on a
beachside bar.
beach in Honduras. Walked up and went up and ordered our.
I got a passion fruit mojito. You got a margarita.
Got a margarita. Turn around and there were 4 men in their little white short sleeve button ups and their ties, and took one look and went, this is either 4 Mormons on their mission or there's like an IT conference going on at this hotel. But then they all had the little name tags that said, hello, I'm Elder.
And I was like, what? This was the last group of people I expected to see sitting at this
At a beachside bar.
At a bar. I mean, it had food, I guess, but like still.
Yeah. But they were just so pasty and buttoned up at this beachside
I know. I'm
bar.
like, put on a bathing suit. It was hot.
It was
so hot.
nothing against Mormons in general.
No.
I think
They're
obviously
actually the
they're-
nicest people.
There,
I have
there
I have
there are
friends who are
terrible
Mormons.
there are terrible people in all religions, but by and large, I have found Mormons to be lovely, wonderful people. But it was shocking to see.
And I don't want to talk to you about your Lord and Savior. Just if you ever see me, I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, but you're very nice, and I hope you enjoyed the beach. Because they're listening to this podcast, because we never say bad words. And we definitely are not drinking while we record it.
Hey, Mormons from the beach, if you're listening, and we know you are.
Hi.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'll be beaming this directly into their brains.
That's terrifying.
It's a new technology I've been working on.
Okay.
I've been very busy the last 5 months.
It's been a weird couple months. Let's see. All right. The question was to be answered later in a strange way. Meanwhile, I had fallen in love with the sad old silent place, and as I closed the white gate and was once more on the road, so he did. He said this will be answered later, and then I was like, bye.
Later.
See ya. When I closed the white gate and once more was on the road, I looked about for someone who could tell me whether or not this house of ghosts might be rented for the summer by a comparatively living man. Rude to assume that there are ghosts. Like, I know there's stuff in there, so it holds like the spirits of people, but like, you didn't see no ghost.
I'm also thinking, like, first of all, I see a house that's kind of creepy and like, oh, this is probably haunted. My first thought isn't, I'm going to pay good money to live there for the whole summer. Maybe I'll pay good money to spend a couple nights there, but I'm not going to commit to the entire damn summer renting this place. Second of all, on the off chance it is haunted, I'm not going to rub it in the ghost's face by saying, well, I'm alive. Can I stay here? No, I don't want that bad juju on my conscience.
No, because those ghosts, they don't want you there. And if they do, then they probably would have already appeared and been like, come with us. Like, I don't know.
Are they creepy child ghosts?
Clearly, it's it's a little girl's bookcase, and we're going to learn more about why. So I'm assuming there's a freaky child ghost there.
Come stay here. You'll be fine.
La da 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 da.
Twin little girls like in The Shining.
Yeah, like singing in French. It's even scarier.
Bonjour.
That's the extent of my French.
Allons-y.
Allons-y.
Bonjour, comment ça va?
Ew.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
No. That's the grandma. He's into the grandma like that.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
Ce soir. Get the club out of the closet.
Fetchez le club. What?
Oh no.
Fetchez le club. What club? It's the one over there that looks like a penis.
Sand it off first. It can hurt if you don't.
You don't want any splinters.
Ow. Ancient sex toys. Meanwhile, so he's going to rent this place. Lovely. All right. I was referred to I was referred to a fine old New England farmhouse shining white through the trees a quarter of a mile away. There I met an ancient couple, a typical New England farmer and his wife. The old man, lean, chin-bearded, with keen gray eyes flickered occasionally with a shrewd humor, and the old lady with a kindly old face of withered apple type and ruddy. They were evidently preposterous people, but... No, it's not preposterous.
Will round two give us prosperous?
Crazy. It was prosperous, yes.
I like preposterous.
I do too.
These people were preposterous.
Well, the description was very very much the what's the farmer and his wife picture?
American Gothic.
The American Gothic, which is from Iowa.
Yeah.
So that's immediately what I saw, and I'm like, those are preposterous people.
They are preposterous. This guy has a beard though. It's
Yeah,
American
it's
Gothic with a
true.
beard.
Yeah, that's very true.
It's American Gothic posed for by Mr. and Mrs. Claus.
There you go. Except he's skinny. It's Mr. Claus after he went on a diet.
Mr. Claus circa July.
Oh yeah. He's in beach body shape.
Yeah. He's Mrs. Claus hasn't started the cookie feeding.
He's doing
yet.
hot girl summer. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
He's been through 3 rounds of P90X and he is looking tight.
He's like, I look good. He's like, now who's this fucking New Yorker walking into our house? All right. They were evidently...
Who knew Santa summered in Connecticut?
Now, the more you know. They were evidently prosperous. They were evidently prosperous people, but their minds, for some reason I could not at the moment divine, seemed to be divided between their New England desire to drive a hard bargain and their disinclination to let the house at all. Over and over again, they spoke of the loneliness of the place. They feared I would find it very lonely. No one had lived there for a long time, and so on. It seemed to me that afterwards I understood their curious hesitation, but at the moment only regarded it as part of the circuitous New England method of bargaining.
I thought they were just trying to bid me up. That's all.
That's just what they do.
They were telling me all these ghost stories, and I was like, "Oh, well, no."
Well, no, that's why I want to stay there.
When you've made the sale, stop selling.
You sold me. Stop talking about all the ghosts. At all events, the rent I offered finally overcame their disinclination, whatever its cause. And so I came into possession for 4 months. That silent old house with the white lilacs and the drowsy barns and the old piano and the strange orchard. And as the summer came on and the year changed its name from May to June, I used to lie under the apple trees in the afternoons, dreamily reading some old book and through half-sleepy eyelids watching the silken summer of the sound.
Don't get me wrong. Because realistically, most of what he just described sounds
awesome
like my
you?
ideal way to spend a summer. You've got this little house. It's out on the sound. There's a piano. There's a library. It's quiet.
Yeah.
People aren't coming around. All right, so there's a window to fix, but I can deal with that.
Yeah.
Like, most of it sounds cool, but you are heavily implying that this bitch is haunted as fuck.
Yeah.
And I am not down with that.
See, I'm kind of into it. I'm like that might make me want to go there a little more. But,
All right,
you know.
so we can split our interests
split
and spend a summer there.
Well, just 2 months. 4 months too long.
4 months is too long.
Though it sounds like it's been about a month and he has not had any ghost experiences yet.
So far, so good.
So,
knock on wood.
June is busting out the ghosts now. Because we're in June now, apparently.
All right.
All right. I had lived in the old house for about a month. Well, there. All right. Yep. Takes a month to get a true haunting going. That's what I've heard. When one afternoon a strange thing happened to me.
The ghosts like to take their time to get to know you.
They do. I mean, they want to make sure you're worth haunting. Like, you know, come on. Like, they don't just come out of the fucking afterlife for no one.
Well, they don't want to scare you off immediately. They want to give you time to get settled so you're invested.
So you're completely, like, not even aware of the possibility. And then it's like, boo. I remember the date well. It was the afternoon of Tuesday, June 13th. I was reading, or rather dipping here and there, in Burton's Anatomy of Melancholy. Oh, that sounds...
Chipper little book.
Tim Burton wrote a book called Anatomy of Melancholy? It sounds dark as hell.
Although if you wrote a book.
That's what it probably would be called. As I read, I remember that a little unripe apple with a petal or two of blossoms still clinging to it fell upon the old yellow page. Then I suppose I must have fallen into a dream, though it seemed to me that both my eyes and ears were wide open, for I suddenly became aware of a beautiful young voice singing very softly somewhere among the leaves. The singing was very frail, almost imperceivable, as though it came out of the air. It came and went fitfully, like the elusive fragrance of sweetbriar, as though a girl was walking to and fro, dreamily humming to herself in the still afternoon. Yet there was no one to be seen. The orchard had never seemed more lonely, and another fact that struck me as strange was that the words that floated to me out of the aerial music were French.
Here we go.
Half sad, half gay.
So like our writer, half sad and half gay.
There you go. Half sad, half gay snatches on some long dead... half gay snatches. That's like I think that's a commercial for Mark Fisher Fitness. Half gay snatches, come get snatched.
Jesus.
Yeah, they would agree with me. If you're listening and you're a Mark Fisher person, you know. Half gay snatches of some long dead singer of old France. I looked about for the origin of the sweet sounds, but in vain. Could it be the birds that were singing in French in this strange orchard?
Yep.
Presently, a voice seemed to come quite close to me, so near that it might have been the voice of a dryad.
Yes. Dryads are, I believe dryads are spirits of trees and naiads are spirits of rivers, but I could have that reversed. However, based on the setting, that makes
he's in an
more
orchard.
sense.
A dryad, yeah.
Yeah, so I think naiads and dryads are rivers and trees.
Sweet. The voice, it seemed to have been the voice of a dryad singing to me out of the tree against which I was leaning.
I love being right.
I love it too. And this time I distinctly caught the words of the sad little song.
Thank you.
And everything goes to hell. Chante, Rosignal, chante, toiki à la courgi. Tu as le cœur arrêt, mange à la tout plaire. I made it rhyme.
Yeah, great. There was something about a corgi in there that made me happy. Something of the corgi. I'm not sure what it was.
They're talking about corgi butts and how they're so cute.
Yeah.
But through the voice... But though the voice was at my shoulder, I could see no one. And then the singing stopped with what sounded like a sob. And at a moment or two later, I seemed to hear a sound of a sobbing far down the orchard. Then there followed silence, and I was left to ponder on the strange occurrence. Naturally, I decided it was just a daydream between sleeping and waking over the pages of an old book. Yet, when next day and the day after that the invisible singer was in the orchard again, I could not be satisfied with such a mere matter-of-fact explanation. À la Clairefontaine, went the voice to and fro through the thick orchard boughs. Bien à la première, j'en trouvais en si belle que j'y m'y suis bongée. I'm pretty sure it's the first time I've had to improvise a song in French. The improvising the song I kind of have fun with, but I'm improvising a song in a language I cannot speak nor do a dialect of.
This is what Campfire Classics is all about. This is the high quality, committed improv that people come back for week after week.
We got two more lines.
This song is going to be blasted all over the internet. Is it going to be the cover page of Campfire Classics website? Of
Watch out, Lady
Arts
Gaga.
Productions?
Here comes Heather Michelle Lawler and her French melodies.
New viral YouTube video.
Louis, la tombe que je t'aime. Oh, the time. Is that je
Je
t'aime?
t'aime is I love you.
Oh, fuck. It was certainly uncanny to hear that voice going to and fro the orchard. There, somewhere amid the bright, sun-dazzled boughs, not a human creature to be seen, not another house even within a half-mile. The most materialistic mind could hardly but conclude that here was something not dreamed of in our philosophy.
Sure, why not? Why not just slide in some Shakespeare?
I mean, you gotta, throw it out there.
People will think you're smart if you slide
If you
in some
slide
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare, that's what they say. I heard Shakespeare slid it in a lot of people, but that's the rumors, at least. I don't know.
If you slide in a little Shakespeare, and he was sliding in his little Shakespeare.
And he was shining in his little Shakespeare.
His little Willy.
Little Willy. Fabulous.
Oh, God.
Hire me,
it's
Shakespeare
so
companies.
stupid.
We're very, 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 very educated.
I swear I take Shakespeare seriously.
Super seriously.
This is a literature podcast. Pull your shit together.
Get your shit together. Don't offend the master.
The master.
Oh,
Wow.
Shakespeare.
So this really is a BDSM podcast.
Shakespeare, I'm gonna make him my bitch.
I'm going to make him my daddy.
Daddy.
Daddy Shakes.
Daddy Shakespeare. It seemed to me that the only reasonable explanation was the entirely irrational one, that my orchard was haunted.
We're just getting there?
I think we've just gotten there. Haunted by some beautiful young spirit with some sorrow of lost joy that would not let her sleep quietly in her grave. The next day, I had a curious confirmation of my theory. Oh, good. Once more, I was lying under my favorite apple tree, half reading and half watching the sound, lulled into a dream by the whir of insects and the spices called up from the earth by the hot sun. As I bent over the page, I suddenly had the startling impression that someone was leaning over my shoulder and reading with me, and that a girl's long hair was falling over me down to the page. The book was the Ronsard I had found in the little bedroom. I turned, but again there was nothing there. Yet this time I knew that I had not been dreaming, and I cried out, "Poor child, tell me your grief that I may help your sorrowing heart to rest." I love that he just screamed out to this ghost. Not "Can I help you?" Or just "Are you there?" No, "Let me save your soul." Very, very
That's
intensely.
intense.
But of course there was no answer. Yet that night I dreamed a strange dream.
Of time gone by.
I thought I was in the orchard again in the afternoon and once again heard the strange singing. But this time, as I looked up, the singer was no longer visible. That's not right. The singer was no longer invisible, is what we were going for. Coming toward me was a young girl with wonderful blue eyes filled with tears and gold hair that fell to her waist. She wore a straight white robe that might have been a shroud or a bridal dress. She appeared not seen to me, though she came directly to the tree where I was sitting. And there she knelt and buried her face in the grass and sobbed as if her heart would break. Her long hair fell over her like a mantle, and in my dream I stroked it pityingly. Her long hair fell over her like a mantle, and in my dream I stroked it pityingly.
Stroked her hair.
Stroked her hair, I know. I knew that the first time. But
I was reiterating for our listeners who have dirty, dirty minds.
dirty, filthy minds, because you're our people.
Don't be dirty.
Don't be dirty. I stroked it pityingly and murmured words of comfort for a sorrow I did not understand. Then I woke suddenly, as one does from dreams. The moon was shining bright into the room. Rising from my bed, I looked out into the orchard. It was almost as bright as day. I could plainly see the tree of which I had been dreaming, and then a fantastic notion possessed me. Slipping on my clothes, I went out into one of the old barns and found a spade. Then I went to the tree where I had seen the girl weeping in my dreams and dug down at its foot.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
no.
sounds like a good plan.
Who gets up in the middle of the think I'm going to dig up a grave by this tree.
You know what I haven't done in a long time? Dug up a dead body at midnight.
Good God. I had dug a little more than a foot when my spade struck upon some hard substance, and in a few more moments I had uncovered and exhumed a small box, which on examination proved to be one of those pretty old-fashioned Chippendale work boxes used by our grandmothers to keep their thimbles and needles in.
Yeah, you know how Grandma loves the Chippendales.
After smoothing down the little grave in which I had found it, I carried the box into the house and under the lamplight examined its contents. Then at once I understood why the sad young spirit went to and fro to the orchard singing those little French songs. For the treasure trove I had found under the apple tree, the buried treasure of a unquiet, suffering soul, proved to be a number of love letters written mostly in French in a very picturesque hand. Letters, too, written but some 5 or 6 years before. Perhaps I should not have read them. Yet, I read them.
I know I shouldn't have read them, but this story wouldn't be very interesting if I didn't.
Read them.
So,
Perhaps
I wanted the juicy details.
You know everyone would have done the same thing. Perhaps I should not have read them. Yet, I read them.
Please tell me the letter is written in French in full below.
I am not scrolling down that far, but I fucking hope not. Perhaps I should not have read them, yet I read them with such reverence for the beautiful impassioned love that animated them and literally made them smell sweet and blossom in the dust, that I felt I had the sanction of the dead to make myself the confidant of their story. Among the letters were little songs, 2 of which I had heard the strange young woman voicing in the orchard, and of course there were many withered flowers and such like remembrances of bygone rapture. Not that night could I make out all the story, though it was not difficult to define its essential tragedy, and later on a gossip in the neighborhood and a headstone in the churchyard told me the rest. The unquiet young soul that had sung so wistfully to and fro the orchard was my landlord's daughter. Oh, that's why they didn't want to leave.
Yeah.
Aww. She was the only child of her parents, a beautiful, willful girl, exotically unlike those from whom she had sprung and among whom she lived with a disdain air of exile. She was, as a child, a little creature of fairy fancies, and as she grew up, it was plain to her father and mother that she had come from another world than theirs. Black sheep of the family.
Yep.
To them, she seemed like a child in an old fairy tale strangely found on his hearth by some shepherd as he returns from the fields at evening. A little fairy girl swaddled in fine linen and dowered with a mysterious bag of gold. Soon she developed delicate spiritual needs to which her simple parents were strangers. From long truancies in the woods, she would come home laden with mysterious flowers, and soon she came to ask for books and pictures and music, of which the poor souls that had given her birth had never heard. Finally, she had her way and went to study at a certain fashionable college. And there, the brief romance of her life began. There she met a romantic young Frenchman who had read Rosan to her and written her those picturesque letters I had found in the old mahogany workbox. And after a while, the young Frenchman had gone back to France, and the letters had ceased. Fucking Frenchmen! Breaking little, country girls' hearts! That's why you don't trust Europeans, man. Month by month went by, and at length one day she sat wistful in the window looking out at the foolish sunlit road. A message came. He was dead. Oh, no.
Oh.
That's why I didn't write. Okay, I take everything back. Sorry, Frenchman.
Probably died fighting in the war. Good job.
No.
Good for you.
Oh. That headstone in the village churchyards tells the rest. She was very young to die, scarcely 19 years. And the dead who have died young, with all their hopes and dreams still like unfolded buds within their hearts, do not rest so quietly in the grave as those who have gone through the long day of mourning until evening and are only too glad to sleep. Next day, I took the little box to a quiet corner of the orchard and made a little pyre of fragrant boughs. For so I interpreted the wish of that young, unquiet spirit, and the beautiful words are now safe, taken up again into the aerial spaces from which they came. But since then, the birds sing no more little French songs in my old orchard. The end. Aww.
That was
really
actually
cute.
very sad.
That was a very sad
Very
story.
sweet.
This man, this New York guy who just wanted to get away, help this young lady go to rest.
Yeah, I'm actually a little teary.
I'm a little melancholy. That's very sweet. Well, what was he reading? Something of the melancholy?
Oh, Anatomy of
Melancholy.
The Anatomy of Melancholy. Yeah.
That was lovely. Aww.
Good job, Richard Le Gallienne.
Le Gallienne. Very well done. And thanks for the French.
Yeah. Heard a lot of his Oscar Wilde influences in there.
Oh, yeah.
His language choice was...
Within the first paragraph, I was like, hello, poetry. This, just the way he describes spring and, the changing of the seasons. And I was like, yeah, he has definitely hung out with some romantic poets.
Yep.
Very much so. That was lovely. It wasn't boo-boo scary. It was
No, it was
just this beautiful tale of...
A little creepy...
Of loss.
Turned romantic and wistful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, that's why you don't fall for Frenchmen.
Because they're always going around loving you and then dying.
Notice how they never said how she died. I'm guessing a suicide or something along
died
those
of a broken
lines.
heart.
Broken heart,
Yeah.
That kind of situation. But they never said how he died either. So I
No.
guess, though one can assume, well, it's 1912 when that came out.
Yeah, I mean, there was fighting going on all over the place, but he also could have just been, run over by a bull in a tutu in a flower field.
Named Ferdinand?
Named Fernando.
Fernando.
Yeah. Yeah. We lose so many good people
Two bulls in
gored
tutus.
by bulls in tutus.
It's true.
It's really...
There really should be something done about it. I mean...
It's an epidemic.
We need to talk about this.
It frustrates me that you don't hear more about it on the news.
I mean, I walk around the ship daily being afraid I'm going to run into a bull with a tutu running down the hallway.
Yeah,
and the hallways are very narrow, so
there's no
nowhere
getting
to
away
go.
from them. No, if you see a bull coming at you down this hall, all you can do is turn around and run the other way. But the bull's faster than you.
It's very true.
Plus, if he's wearing a tutu, that's a ballet dancer bull.
Yeah, they can kick their faces.
Fucker's got leaps. He can jump.
All of a sudden, I'm meshing the image of that with the Fantasia hippos, which are also wearing tutus.
Which is also wearing tutus.
And doing ballet.
Yep.
So now I have a weird morphed image of what this thing looks like. But yeah. But that was fun. Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, that was a
I
good
hadn't
one.
read a story in a long time.
I know.
I did pretty good.
Uh-huh.
My mouth worked pretty well.
Yeah, you brushed that dust right off. Got in there.
It helped that I just did a show, so I'm warmed
Your
up and
articulators
articulate.
are all...
They're all awake, whereas sometimes we used to record at 9 in the morning, and I'm like, I haven't had my coffee yet.
Yeah. What'd you think of that story, listener? Did you enjoy it as much as we did?
Had you heard of this writer before?
I'd never even heard of him before.
No.
He was a new one on me.
Yeah.
Until doing that research.
Yeah, that was lovely.
Yeah.
A little playboy of the Western world moment.
So please let us know what you thought of that. You can shoot us an email at 5050artsproduction@gmail.com or message us on any of those social media platforms. We're up as Campfire Classics on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of those things. Let us know what you thought of that story. Let us know if you have any particular requests. Let us know if you can define any of those terms that we ran across during this episode and couldn't look up because internet doesn't exist here.
Let us know if you could tell any of the French words I said and what they meant.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ooh. So here's a fun game. Can you put the French we used into Google Translate?
God.
And see if it even recognizes it as language.
I doubt it. Other than je t'aime.
Je t'aime.
I got je t'aime.
Yep.
I was like, ooh, I know this one. And then didn't actually really know what it was, but I knew what it was.
And you got a la corgi.
A la corgi.
Yes.
There was definitely a G somewhere in
love
that,
of the corgi.
I and C and some other letters.
So let us know all of that. And while you are writing in, please include either in the subject or the body of the message you send our secret passcode of the week. It will just let us know that you got this far. And this week's secret passcode is Phallic Billy Club.
Phallic Billy Club.
Because Grandma's dirty.
Grandma's a naughty, naughty minx.
Oh, all right. Well, this has been thoroughly idiotic.
Well, if I remember correctly, I mean, it's been a few months, but it usually is.
It usually is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, thoroughly idiotic is what we go for.
It's like what our MO is.
Yeah. I think that's it from me. Do you have any parting thoughts before this one wraps up?
I mean, I'll be off the ship in about a month. Ken has a couple things lined up for the summer, possibly, but we will, if we're both on land, it's much easier to record remotely because I have access to internet. So I have, from the day Ken gets off, I have 4 weeks, actually less. No, exactly 4 weeks. Actually, I get off May 22nd. We're recording this on April 22nd because
so you're
it's
exactly
Earth Day.
1 month.
1 month out, bitches.
So the next couple of episodes, unless you magically stumble upon some internet, will likely be back to the guest host routine. But then starting in June, you can get used to Heather's voice being back on the airlines.
I missed everybody.
Airlines, airwaves.
Write in some emails and say hi because I missed everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
All right. Well, on that merry little note, thank you so much for tuning in. And this has been Campfire Classics, where we try to read those books that look really good on your shelf.
I do know a French song. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?